Weather headlines get a bit warmer today, near 90 this weekend. And the really dry weather pattern continues. This is the driest weather pattern we've had all year. Sunny and a bit warmer today, 78 at noon, 86 this afternoon, 74 at 8 p.m. Again, there might be some downtown areas that hit maybe around 87, 88, kind of popping up with those temperatures today, and just a very light breeze, if anything, out there for that play ball forecast. We have a lot going on this weekend. Of course, there's Bourbon and Beyond kicking off today out at the Expo Center. We've got the Lanesville Heritage Festival today through the weekend. Upper 80s, around 90 degrees. Barbara Haas, thanks for tuning in this morning. Good morning to you. And so a lot of fun happening there in Lanesville, in Louisville with Bourbon and Beyond. We've got the J-Town Gaslight Festival that continues this weekend. So much happening across the area. And thankfully, the weather will be dry for it all. Maybe we'll remember some sunscreen if you're out there in the afternoon. We've got a good sunny morning in Bedford with that report from Dennis Gregory. Thanks for popping in here this morning, Dennis. Always good to see you. And we've got the stupid weather jokes, and I guarantee you these will be stupid, maybe next level stupid. So here we go. I know a lot of funny jokes about umbrellas, but they usually go over people's heads. The hurricane just blew the roof off the cheese factory. Debris is everywhere. Get it? Brie? All right. If you have to explain them, they're probably not that great. All right. What did the hurricane say to the coast? I have my eye on you. All right. That I'm going to say that does qualify as stupid weather jokes. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to give these a 4 out of 10 this morning. Throwing myself under the bus for putting those jokes together here this morning. Here's today's weather history. And again, we're in tropical. September is the peak tropic season. So you're going to see a lot of that. There are a couple of really interesting ones here. 1897, Indy got a record high of 95. 1961, Hurricane Carla made landfall, battering central Texas with 175-mile-per-hour winds, 17 inches of rain. And most of the fatalities were actually associated with tornadoes spawned by the powerful storm. And we've got another pop-in here from Tim Furnish from Madison. Good morning, sir. Thanks for watching. I'd like to take a little visit up to Madison soon. It's been a while since I've been able to just kind of walk around there. Beautiful town. 1974, Eastern Airlines Flight 212 crashed just short of the runway because of dense fog. 82 people on board, 72 died. And this is the interesting part, including the father and 2 older brothers of comedian Stephen Colbert. 1976, Idaho, Oregon, Montana. So think of these places here. Drenched by heavy rainfall from the remnants of Tropical Storm Kathleen. That is a rare path over the western United States after striking Mexico. So again, you don't think about tropical systems very much up in Idaho and Oregon and Montana. 1992, sustained winds 145 miles per hour, gust of 175. Hurricane Iniki pulverized Kauai, the worst storm in recorded history in Hawaii and one of the 10 worst in history, causing $2 billion in damage and between 2 and 3 billion in damage. And in 2014, Rapid City, South Dakota received 1.6 inches of snow, which was a new record for that early in the season. And Mount Rushmore received an amazing 8 inches, which was just 1/5 off a record September snowfall. So indication that fall is around the corner when you start to get these early snowfall potentials. And our countdown to fall things continues. Autumn begins in 11 days, average highs in the 60s in 38 days, Halloween in 50, average first flurries, speaking of snow, in about 65 days. Ragweed is all over the place, and that is bothering many of us, many sufferers out there. Might need to get those allergy meds going. And so this is, now we're talking about some drought conditions here. Okay, guys, so this first map is going to be the European weather model over the next 8 days. Rainfall total, adding up the rainfall day by day, which is basically 0. So we've got a good morning from Lillian Lasley. Thanks for tuning in. Very nice out there this morning. Here we go into drought talk. So the rainfall total, this is the European weather model through Friday, September 19th, shows just a hole of dry weather over us. High pressure, keeping it dry. On the edge of high pressure, you get rain up in the Great Plains and northern Midwest and then out in the tropics. Got a good morning from John Fox. Thank you, sir, for watching this morning. So there is the bullseye of dryness over the Ohio Valley in the Deep South. Now, moving ahead, this is the predicted soil moisture anomaly. So everything in the orange and red indicates really dry soil over the next 2 weeks and getting worse. And that is why the Climate Prediction Center U.S. Hazards Outlook has rapid onset drought or flash drought potential over our region. So this obviously gives agriculture interests, farmers, an idea of maybe having to water more and just the potential for a prolonged stretch of hot, dry conditions across the region. So that is the flash drought potential from the Climate Prediction Center. Our forecast today for your Thursday, September the 11th, the high of 86 degrees, mostly sunny and a bit warmer than it has been. Clouds helped out for much of the day yesterday for much of the area, but I don't think we'll see as many clouds today as that disturbance has moved off to the southeast. Light and variable wind, almost no wind out there today, and our sunset at 7:56. And tonight, we keep the windows open, listen to the bugs out there. Low 62 degrees. So after sunset, it cools off very efficiently after some warm days ahead, and pretty much no wind, just calm tonight. Our sunrise at 7:22. Your forecast tomorrow for your Friday, September 12th, 62 out the door, 80 at noon, and going 88 for the afternoon high. So that's going to put us about 4 degrees above normal for this time of the year. Normal low is at 63. Sun up at 7:22, sunset tomorrow at 7:55. And here is that long dry spell that continues across the region. So tomorrow, 88 down to 63 at Friday night. So again, at least we have some cool-ish nights. It's not going to be a humid heat. It's going to be a fairly dry heat on the way, which is typical for your September heat. 89 Saturday, right around 91 Sunday. So hovering near 90 degrees during the maximum heating in the afternoons all the way through the end of our next work week. It might not be until right around fall begins, or right around possibly 21st, 22nd. The GFS weather model had some potential for a weather pattern change with maybe some rain chances with a front there, and the potential for a cool down around that time as well. So we are going to look at that once again. We've looked at that last couple of days around the 21st, 22nd at a weather pattern change. So that's what we're going to look at as we dig into the long range weather model data here, which of course is old Ben on a limb segment here. Big Happy's out with the dark roast, no sugar, no cream, but I had the sugar and cream in the previous coffee drink. Creature of habit here. All right. Let's go ahead and bring up the weather graphics. Let me get rid of that. Bring up this. And here we go. So the radar and satellite is very, very quiet across the region and really across much of the United States, and just a big area of high pressure controlling our weather and giving us dry conditions around here. So there you can see coast to coast and border to border, there is not a whole lot going on. Not a whole lot in the tropics either, which is kind of ironic since it's the peak of the hurricane season in September. Okay, so there we go with the quiet start across the region. And I do, since we were talking about the rapid onset drought, flash drought potential, we bring up the Climate Prediction Center's 6 to 10 day outlook and take a look at this. When the colors get more orange or red, the confidence for above normal temperatures goes up. So you can see that is the case for us. This is the 6 to 10 day outlook. So this takes us past the 7-day forecast. High confidence and high temperatures. So again, hovering in the upper 80s, low 90s, summer heat returns, but thankfully the summer humidity, not quite, not going to be very, very humid for us. We got a live report from Lillian Lasley, 72 degrees at her house. Thank you very much. So we've got a big ridge of high pressure. So not only does it build the heat, it also builds more dry conditions across the region. So that is the 6 to 10 day outlook. Now, what I'd like to see past that, again, maybe when we get to around the 22nd, is the potential for some cooler temperatures on the way. So when we look at the 8 to 14 day outlook, this still might be influenced by the first half of the 8 to 14 day outlook, which we'll see if it'll pop up here. Maybe not. Let me try to pop it on, pop it back on. Is that the 8 to 14 day? There's the 6 to 10. And then here is the 8 to 14 in the data. is not loading. We'll try again a little bit later. Actually, if you ever want to, you can go to, bring up another little browser here. You can go to cpc.ncep.noaa.gov. And then this would take you to there's the 8 to 14 day outlook. So here are the temperature outlooks. These are just kind of interesting to look at for long range data. So there's the 8 to 14 day temperature outlook, which is above normal as well. So week and a half, I'd say, yeah, above normal. Maybe toward the end of that, we'll see a little bit of relief. So let's try to look ahead here. And there was only one weather model today that tried to produce the most isolated shower chance you can imagine. And that was the NAM 3 kilometer. I don't know if it'll still show it or not. But let's go and zoom in here with the hour by hour for today with the NAM 3 kilometer high resolution weather model. What I'm looking for is just a blip of green, maybe at some point today, but I think 99% of our area will be dry. Just southeast of Lexington, there's a little green that pops up there at 3 p.m. Here's 4 o'clock today. Okay, so there we go. Do you see that? I mean, you got to look really closely. Don't really obsess on where there might be this cloud that could grow and produce a super isolated shower. I don't think it'll happen, but that's just showing you at 4 p.m. how isolated the chance is, with most areas, again, staying dry. This is around 5 o'clock today. There's not much happening. So that's why I didn't even put the rain chance on the 7-day forecast or on today's forecast. It's just such a small chance, like probably a 1% chance or less of a shower. If you get that shower, then you can be like, what about that 1% chance you're talking about, Ben? I'll be like, well, you got very lucky. So there you can see it's pretty dry across the region. So if I bring up the high resolution rapid refresh weather model, and as we look through the afternoon, I don't think it even shows anything popping up. Again, the only model I could find really was the NAM 3 kilometer that showed that little isolated shower. So this is at 4 o'clock today with the high resolution rapid refresh weather model, the HRRR. At 6 p.m., it's got a little blip out west near Dale, Indiana. And that's it. So there, again, not much happening here. Now let's go ahead and bring up the GFS as we look out toward the longer range outlook. And I mean, I'm going to go to like next Friday because it wasn't showing any rain over the next week. So next Friday would be the 19th. Okay. Still has us pretty dry with rain out west and rain to the north. This is Friday the 19th. And then this is Friday evening. Oh, look at that. So if this were correct, again, we're on the Ben on a Limb segment. We are more than a week out. This is next Friday, the 19th evening. That shows the potential of some rainfall. So would that be coming with a front? And what would be behind that front? And look at all that dry air up in Canada that could be dropping down our way as we head toward the first day of fall. So as I go into the Saturday, the 20th, still has maybe just a touch of humidity across our area, maybe kind of a stalled out front is what that's showing. And the 21st on Sunday doesn't really have that front moving through, but what about rain chances that weekend? So this would not be this weekend. This would be the following weekend. It shows a little bit of a rain chance around the area. Again, maybe with that stalled out front. I'm heading back to Saturday the 20th. So maybe the following weekend we'll start to pick up some rain chances with perhaps a little bit of a weather pattern change. Again, I want to bring up the dew points. This is looking at the amount of moisture in the air. And the dew points don't look to be too bad. So it's still kind of a dry heat, especially off to the north. And then let me go to, so the 20th, 21st is Sunday. 22nd, Monday would be the first day of fall. Fairly dry air in place. And let's bring up the temperatures here. This is 5 p.m. on the 22nd of September. And not too bad. Maybe a little bit of a cool down around that time. So it's kind of backing off on the more significant cool down that it had yesterday. But it does have a bit of a weather change there, and perhaps a much needed rain chance around the region by not this weekend, but the following weekend. Now let me bring up the total amount of precipitation from the GFS weather model for like the next 8 days. So I want to go to Friday the 19th. And there you can see it. We're in the dry hole here over the next 8 days. So not only the European weather model, which we saw a little bit earlier, but also the GFS weather model, that is the 8-day rainfall total, which is nothing. Everything off to the northwest or off to the southeast. So that is why we're talking about rapid onset drought and the potential for worsening drought conditions here over the next week, which could lead to elevated wildfire danger. But thankfully, the winds are not going to be very strong over the next week to make the potential for the spread of wildfire worse if that were to occur. Just be mindful if you're having that fire. There might be some burn bans to watch out for, some county burn bans or some city or municipality burn bans to watch out for this week ahead, as things are just really dry across the area. So that's the total amount of rainfall. Wet to our northwest and off the east coast, pretty much nothing for us. So that is the long range 8-day complete rainfall total right there. Real quick, I was just going to check the upper levels. The 500 millibar winds is getting up toward the jet stream. Oops, let me take that out of the way. I was just going to see if there's any significant dip in the jet stream in the long range outlook which might promote. Okay, so that is something to keep an eye on, perhaps. That would be a dive in the jet stream right here. A big trough. Those are some strong winds aloft. There you can see over 100 miles per hour. So the jet stream divides warm air south, cooler air north, or cold air north. And if that starts to dive to the south, then you're going to get a significant weather pattern change. Now, this is looking a long way down the road. Not 100% chance that would happen. And let's see if that jet stream continues to dive south as we go towards the 24th, 25th. So what would be underneath that jet stream? It would be a push of Canadian dry air. And this is looking at 342 hours out on September the 25th. So we're going late September days here, which shows the potential for some cooling fronts to be moving through around that time. So you can see lows in the 40s and 50s. Going to the 25th afternoon, showing some 70s, 60s, 70s across the region. So we'll see if it happens. Again, that is the very long-range outlook. Again, 351 hours out. So with that said, and looking at the long-range outlook, that has been